the interesting thing about a lot of acupuncture and their modalities that go around it, they're very like intuitive ways of dealing with your body. You know, like, ooh, like, let me put pressure here. This hurts. Let me scrape this away. You know, like there's an intuitiveness about this medicine that I think is really interesting. And almost, you know, medicine has become so, you know, scientific and, you know, neural and all these things can be tied to acupuncture, and there is justification for that. But there's beauty in the simplicity of how you treat the body, I think, with this kind of medicine.
Welcome
to another episode of
As
Woo
As You
Want with Celine and
Jeremiah. And
hi, I'm Margaret.
Hi,
Margaret. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I'm co-owner of Louisville Community Acupuncture in Louisville, Kentucky.
Sick.
Not New York.
Well, Margaret,
thank you so much for being on the little potty with us.
Yeah.
For sure. And hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in. We did take a little bit of a break. We hope you had a restful winter vacay, but we're back. It's 2023, and we're super excited to have Margaret on the pod. You know, Celine and I were talking about, like, well, who are we going to have next on the podcast? We've covered so much. And I was like, I don't think we've ever done just a straight
legit
up acupuncture episode.
Yeah. And then I immediately thought of Margaret, because Margaret and I started acupuncture school, I don't know 10 years ago? Is that true?
10 years ago.
10 years ago in Austin. Mm-hmm. And she was one of my best friends there.
Yeah.
So loving and amazing. She's a great practitioner, and she has this community space. Yeah. And we remain friends. And so you started a community acupuncture space in Louisville. How long ago?
9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I graduated and I kind of did my thing in Austin, but then I was like, whew, nothing against Austin, but it was time to move on. It was time to spread my wings.
Great. Yeah.
I'm curious, before we even get into the practice, like, Margaret, was this a career path that you had thought about? Like, I'm curious, like, how you got to even studying acupuncture.
I almost feel like I'm a typical acupuncturist story. I received one treatment and I just thought, wow, this is pretty amazing stuff. I want to go forward with it. And sorry, I have music playing on the background. Oddly enough, I didn't want to leave Austin just yet. It just seemed like, okay, I graduated from UT, and it was something to where, okay, let me start with my GREs and maybe go to public health school or something of that nature. And then I just got like a flu, I think, or something. I didn't have healthcare, et cetera. I just didn't know what to do. And I was raised in a small town, Celine knows, and it just seemed like I didn't really know how to access the healthcare system. And at 19 years old, it was like, what do I do next? And one of my friend's father was going through acupuncture school, and he just gave me like points in the ear, and my fever broke. And I was like, this is the coolest stuff ever. Like, and I knew what my fever broke immediately. Like, it just like turned around completely. And I don't even know how sick I was, but I was dead in the dumps. And and then it was easy to enroll. And I think I met Celine on like the 4th day. It was immediately right after getting my bachelor's in physical anthropology, which is like, what do you do with that? and like I took some like upper division classes in medical geography, and I got to learn about Paul Farmer and preventative health. And a lot of this class emphasized on like placebo. We don't have to talk about placebo, but at the same time, it's definitely something that's talked about in the medical sphere.
Yeah.
And then, it just turned me around. It just turned me around. I was like, I want to do this medicine because it's traditional, it's safe, it's effective. And, I have no background in Chinese medicine. I represent it, and I am, what is it? I'm generous that I get to do this medicine every day. But my background specifically comes from a rural town in Texas where my Mexican grandma would take care of me when I would get sick. It was almost ritualistic. It was like, right. Oh, I love that I'm sick right now because I get to go to grandma's,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I cultivate that in my clinic on a regular basis too.
I love that so much. It's like you're carrying the tradition on, and just that idea of like the concept of, for the Western world, the concept of care is so like, I don't know. It's like not sanitized, but it's just so like not like warm or inviting.
It's not represented enough.
Cold. Yeah, and to have like your grandma be like your place for healing is just such a beautiful symbol, such a beautiful image. Love that.
Yeah, she would like massage my kinks out of my calves when this happened from like 4 to like high school.
Amazing.
That's so cool. I love that. I don't know if I knew that
on a regular basis
of you.
Yeah. I think the more and more that I take care of people, the more I'm like, I think this is a ritual.
There's something I think that's so true about acupuncture and just kind of the whole practice of it. It's a healing space, and the ritualistic aspect of using the needles, thinking about the points, like it becomes so much more than just the physicality of the health, which I think is so fascinating. And people really crave that, as Jara was saying, like there's not, you go to the doctor, it's in a room. I mean, everybody should go to the doctor too. Let me just say that.
I mean, I did my 5-year-old's checkup yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
pretty standard.
Please go and do that. But there's, just having someone listen to you and hold space for you is so much also part of the healing process, which has been kind of like eradicated a little bit of how we look at health.
Yes, totally.
So,
and that's how Chinese medicine is as a whole. It is asking you, more about, it's your chief complaint, but it is also asking you, where does this begin?
The root. Yeah. So Jer, as the like kind of person to ask all the questions, you've got 2 acupuncturists here. Pressure is on.
Yeah. So just for my reminding, and also for our listeners, so what school did you both go to?
We went to AOMA, which is, what is it, Austin? It doesn't exist anymore, does it?
It doesn't. Yeah, it turned into AOMA, Integrative School of Acupuncture. And I think it's because we're trying to get rid of the O in East Asian medicine, which is Oriental, and that is
not great. Not great.
But they still kept the AOMA because I think they like the way it sounds.
AOMA, yeah, it has a little ring to it.
And it's a 4-year program, and it has, I think it has 3 or 4 semesters built in. So it's a progressive graduate school where you are just hacking out those hours left and right. And then the first 2 years is specifically acupuncture. And then you start doing your rounds, you start doing treatments, and then you mingle in the herbal medicine on top of that. And that's the last 2 years. So it's a twofer. It's a 2-2.
2-2. But I left and then I finished up in New England, in Boston.
Yeah.
So we didn't graduate from the same school, but all acupuncture schools are that layout. Except, I'm not going to complicate it.
There's plenty of other schools. I run a community clinic, and now community acupuncture. Now, the organization that we are a part of, they now do a Pocatech, which is a 3-year program that's specifically more acupuncture and community based. So, because there's so much acupuncture out there, there's just it's like, and then on top of that, when we are doing integrative medicine, it's acupuncture, it's qigong, it's tai chi, it's nutrition, and it's herbal medicine. And I feel like I missed something else. Gua Sha.
Oh yeah, the adjuncts. Cupping.
Yeah.
So those are like the adjunct modalities that you add into treatments. The acupuncture is like the base, and then you add in the other kind of adjuncts to like kind of boost up whatever you're working on, right? So herbal medicine, what everything Margaret just said.
And it comes from a Taoist belief. And I could be getting this wrong with this. It was more of this understanding of Kung Fu and your ability to protect yourself, right, in traditional sense, but then also to bring yourself back together. So broken bones, heal your broken bones. And this is the beginnings.
Got it. So it's like this thing we talk about as integrative medicine or Chinese medicine. It's really like a multimodality approach to health or care.
Yeah.
Got it. And and now like let's zoom in on like this modality of acupuncture. So for people who like have no idea like what acupuncture is, right? Like how do you explain that to someone?
Do you want to give your elevator speech, Margaret?
Man, I'm real lame with this.
Do yours and then I'll do mine.
Acupuncture is a simple construction of opening and closing of neural pathways. The system talking to yourself. We can specifically go into trauma. Well, I cut my finger. I notice my finger is cut. It is bleeding. I grab it, to stop the blood. Meanwhile, so many, eosinophils, white blood cells are going to do defense, talking about this particular thing that has just this action potential that has just happened. So that would be like the more extreme of things. But essentially what we're doing is I don't even like to call them needles at this point. I like to call them filaments.
Sick. I love that.
Filaments. And we are applying this filament to the body to start talking to one another. It is a web. It's an interconnected web. There's a beautiful book that I always like to reference, and it's The Web That Has No Weaver. It's one of the books that we get when we first start in acupuncture school. And it is these connections that we're making with the body, but at the same time, we're not asking, how is stress? How are you doing emotionally with these components? And those have particular signals for us as these constructors of this filament to really design and open and close and start the process of healing.
Great. I love that.
That was just on the fly. I can go in so many directions sometimes.
I do this thing where I talk about maps, which I feel like conceptually people kind of get sometimes. I think I explain it like your body is this giant map, like highways. And, if you're traveling to Boston, let's say there's a, construction on 95, it's going to be a kind of jam. It's going to take it longer than it should. So acupuncture kind of works with these meridians and these pathways to open up that one spot that is kind of stuck or jammed up to ensure kind of a smooth flow for the whole journey to take place. So I think Margaret and I, that we nailed that.
Yeah, for sure. And for my clarification, you're talking about the flow of chi specifically, right?
Yeah.
You can call it chi. You can call it oxygen and blood. You can call it whatever you prefer. And acupuncture is based on a meridian system. So you have all these meridians that run along different pathways. neural pathways.
Yeah. Our Qigong master used to just like make us pump our arm like this really fast and then be like, that's Qi. And you could just feel the blood just kind of go through.
I love that. Okay. That's great. Like super tangible. Cool. Great. So, I mean, I feel like those were both awesome explanations. So I don't know. Do you want?
I use the superhighway example when I am doing bloodletting.
Ooh, that's also a thing, Jer.
That
bloodletting.
A little intense,
little controversial.
Yeah, but it was the beginnings of acupuncture, right? So in the beginnings, we would just, prick and let blood out and explore those options. And then it was like, actually, let's just use these filaments, which was actually ivory.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I went straight into bloodletting.
I know you did. And we are there. And the idea behind it is like sometimes you can, the end of your lung channel is on your index finger. And if you have a cough or a fever, the idea behind it is you prick this, let out just a little bit, like a drop of blood.
Like a lancet, like a diabetic lancet.
And it like will expel and take out that heat and that pathogenic element that is causing that stuckness or that buildup.
Yeah. So if we're dealing with the those neural pathways and qi and blood flowing through, then you have the 6 syndromes, hot and cold.
You have hot, cold. You have these I don't remember that well, Margaret. You're being so studious.
Interior, exterior. And essentially what it's exploring as history has moved on is there are certain spots in your body that expel more heat or obtain more cold. So you're using different methods to explore or to, I keep using the word explore, but to balance the system, to harmonize the system. You use the lung as an example. That's a great one. The apex of the ear is a really, really good point for high blood pressure. So you would prick that as well. You can also needle it. And then one of my favorites is pricking the back of the knee for lower back, acute lower back.
Oh, yeah. Jer's face is like, what's happening?
You've gotten pale.
No, I'm just, there's so many.
I'm Aries and all yang energy, and I'm like, let's do it.
Well, no, I there's so many ways I feel like we can approach this. So that's great. So it's kind of like your body is this like energetic mechanism and it has a certain flow. And when you live life, things happen and blockages happen or things get too hot or too cold. And this practice is doing what it can to harmonize, to get the flow back of the energy in various ways, not just with acupuncture, but also with bloodletting. And I guess herbs is another aspect.
Gua Sha, right? Gua Sha would be another. And that does, when you Gua Sha, the blood does come out as well. So, the elbow right in here, that's a heat. That's our number one point to get rid of heat. So anybody can, Gua Sha is just like such a hip thing now. Anybody can do Gua Sha, it seems. I would talk to an acupuncturist first if you really want to do it right. But if you, what are some heat symptoms, right? You have fever. That's like an obvious one. But let's talk about like bitter taste in the mouth. You just feel irritable. You're thirsty. Your urine's yellow. This is heat. This is toxic heat stuff. You have bad breath. That would be more stomach heat. Why don't you just try taking heat out of your body? Peppermint tea could be great.
Yeah.
But if you really want to be like, just explore this therapy a little bit more, you can get a back of a spoon. I don't have a back of a spoon here. It's my office. I don't eat in my office, but let's say this, at the back of the spoon, and you could just kind of
You scrape.
Scrape. Take that off. And
So
it'll get red.
So for people who are listening and not watching on our YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to and check out.
Yeah, you should click that smash that like button.
Yes, smash the subscribe button.
Yes.
Margaret was just showing. So Gua Sha, she was just showing with using a marker, like a area of her elbow that she was like kind of putting pressure on. So Gua Sha, I always associate Gua Sha, for those who aren't familiar, with those like pretty like stones that you like use on your face.
Jade.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Oh my gosh.
But is Gua Sha actually just like pressure? Is that what it means?
It's scraping. It's scraping.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
I mean, the interesting thing about a lot of acupuncture and their modalities that go around it, they're very like intuitive ways of dealing with your body. Like, ooh, like let me put pressure here. This hurts. Let me scrape this away. Like you're almost, there's an intuitiveness about this medicine that I think is really interesting. And almost, medicine has become so, scientific and, neural and all these things can be tied to acupuncture, and there is justification for that. But there's beauty in the simplicity of how you treat the body, I think, with this kind of medicine that, right. Like we're talking about using a spoon and like scraping a heat point in your body and you will feel better, which is the wild thing. Like this will work.
Yeah.
I love it. So since you're already kind of showing like one way of releasing heat from the body, like maybe Margaret, you could show us like a couple of other ways where you can actually self-administer acupuncture. I don't know if, let's say someone had like a fever or, a pain. I don't know if there's like a good example that you could show us.
If we were to stay with the arm, and we can do 3 finger breaths. We talk in shun. This is like an inch. So 3 finger breaths below the wrist on the outside. There's a point, Sanjiao 5, Sanjiao 6, really good for constipation or any kind of digestive issues. And honestly, sometimes I like to press this and do a squat for any kind of lower hip or back pain. Like I'm in yoga sometimes. And I go into pigeon pose, and then I just grab that Sanjiao channel, and it just opens up my whole thoracic. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
Lumbar. Yeah.
So you're using Indian and Chinese kind of traditions to like really go at it. That is so cool. I love it.
So it's and you'll press along it, and it's tight.
Mine's always really tight. It's the triple burner channel. And so the channel runs along kind of like your flank and controls your upper, middle, and lower.
Yeah.
So it's really good for digestive issues, any kind of heat too, like you are sick. I always add in that point for people who have like a cold or sore throat.
Right.
You just press it for like, how long do you usually press? I usually tell people like 30 seconds or a minute to massage it.
And I also say put a timer on your phone and do the Sanjiao challenge. And and I'll say dry at least 3 times out of the day, so that timer on your phone. Oh, it's a Sanjiao challenge. So then I rotate it clockwise, right? So think of your large intestine tract. You don't want to go the opposite way. You want to go clockwise. And then of course you're doing that for about 30 seconds. You're holding it down. And I say, put pressure on it.
Yeah. Like do it so it feels like tender and like deep. That's when you're there.
Mm-hmm. I got another
July 4 is pretty great.
July 4.
Headaches.
Oh, wait.
So let's show that for
if you were to hold your hand up and along the interweb of your thumb and your second digit.
Your index.
And then if this hikes up like the way it is right here, you're going to press down.
The like fleshy part.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the fleshy part on the outside.
The fleshy part. Yeah.
The fleshy part. And that's large intestine 4. Great for headaches, like any kind of like nasal congestion.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's a great stress point, Yeah,
it's a part of 4 gates, which is it's paired with the mirroring of another point on the foot. I did take my shoes off when you guys said
Show your feet.
Right there.
Wow, you are flexible.
Yeah.
She does a lot of yoga.
Got it. Oh,
That's liver
fascinating.
3.
So it's actually like the thumb of the foot, the thumb of the hand, and the index of the foot and the index of the hand. It's the same kind of like
thing.
I mean,
that is so cool.
There's a vast. You could do mirroring with points too. You know, like acupuncture is so
There's
vast.
no wrong way. Yeah.
Wow.
Unless you don't know your intention, right? So if we were to talk about like scientific theory, it's really, really hard to narrow acupuncture down. But what the main gist is, if you don't know what you're doing, then it's not working. Yeah. I got another really good point.
Go for it.
Large intestine 10. Number one, first off, really good point for immune system. We're in the winter season. This is going to be a pretty effective point just to tonify your body. But what does that look like when your body is a little deficient? I gather it really looks like some neck tension. If you have, I feel like that's the beginning, right? If you have some neck tension, regardless of sleeping poorly the night before, sleep is a high quality thing. You need sleep. So if you're having some poor sleep and then that follows with some neck tension, I would say your body's a little deficient. It's obvious. Deficient means low in energy. So large intestine 10, if we were to remember that Gua Sha point right here, large intestine 11, which is the number one really good point to release heat. If you were to just plop on over into like that nice fleshy forearm area, it's going to be sore. And then you're just going to hold it. You're going to hold it. And then what I like to do is just rotate the neck back and forth.
Oh, wow.
And then you can even just move the arm and that'll release a lot of that exterior.
So for those who are listening, what Margaret's doing is there's an area, like I would say it's under the elbow, and I guess it's essentially the forearm, right?
It's the forearm.
Right. It's the thumb
a little above
side.
the forearm.
It's the thumb side of your forearm.
Got it.
And a lot of times you can find it by taking 3 of your fingers from the crease of your elbow. And where your ring finger hits, that's around where it usually is. You can kind of feel around.
Wow. I feel like we could do a whole other episode just on this.
Acupressure, yeah.
Just like, yeah, different points.
Well, unless there's other points you want to talk about, I want to talk with Margaret about
great.
her. Okay. So you run a community acupuncture clinic, and talk a little bit about that, because I've worked in one, but I do my private. I did. Yeah.
I went to that one.
Yeah, you did. Tiger Lily. It's in Ridgewood. Everybody go. That's in New York. It's amazing. But tell us a little bit why you and your husband decided to kind of start that practice.
Yeah, it's a community acupuncture is a high volume, low cost clinic. We are hybrid now due to the pandemic. So I do offer a private setting, but it's still low cost. And let's see, I was towards the end of acupuncture, and I just really couldn't sink my teeth into what we call the batik style. And when they start giving you business classes on how to promote yourself, they really kind of emphasize this lead with your tribe. So who is your tribe? And again, I have to invoke that I came from a very small town with poor, working class poor. And it was really cute, actually. It's a really cute story. When we took a trip out to Marfa, where I'm from, for a wedding.
You're from Marfa?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool.
So, it is,
Sorry.
it is fancy. It is, it's fancy.
No.
Well,
I mean,
now, but
now
before.
it is.
Yeah. But it's still the diversity is there. I mean, the dichotomy of it. It's just, a lot of my family is still very emphasizes treating within. So we're driving to this wedding in Marfa. Actually, it was my friend James's wedding, and it's his birthday today. So this happy 40th birthday to James Scott. So
happy birthday, James.
And like that follow button or follow that. Yeah.
Smash that subscribe. Like this video.
So good.
So specifically, Mike and I Mike, my partner, my husband, we were driving, and it was just one of those beautiful, deep conversations, because I really didn't know anything about community acupuncture. And Lisa Rolander, who is the founder of it, and I was bringing up more of my medical geography. Medicine has to be preventative, and he emphasizes medicine has to be preventative, but it also has to be affordable, or it's not preventative unless it's affordable. And my reality is, I remain working class till this day, and there's just no life in me to charge $100 per treatment. And I do again but in order to be sustainable, I have to treat at a high volume, and it's kind of like waitressing tables. It really is. It's I'm more of a hostess. I'm not necessarily a menu. I'm going to remember all of these things. I know how to place people. And then on top of that, I know the significance of group healing. Being in a room with other people, somebody who probably has stress, anxiety, heartbreak, pain's hard. If you're in a room with other people that are sharing those ideas, or sharing those things, it's going to be significantly better for you to just get relaxed and etc. Yeah. And community acupuncture is not for everybody, but again, since the pandemic, I've been able to do these private settings. So go back to the bones of everything. And I'm having great time doing back treatments and having great conversations with people. So really, I guess I've invoked both, and I'm pretty happy at that level.
Yeah. The way you described it is so beautiful. And I think that as I worked in a community space for like a few years, and there is a different sense of the community aspect of healing. And I also think there's a simplicity to how you treat. You use fewer points than for me at least, because you're seeing a high volume of people. So typically, like when I did it, I would see 5 people in an hour.
Yeah. Me.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more than 1 or 2 an hour, which is how I usually work. And so you have fewer points, Jers, right? So because you don't have that much time with everybody, but the effectiveness of those few points. And I think there is something, as Margaret, you were saying, about being in a room with other people who are just sitting and being together in a healing space is incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful.
So yeah, we treat every 10-15 minutes. What I'm doing is I'm checking you up at the front door, and I'm basically asking you, how are you feeling today? So that's like that first automatic, we're starting right at the door, and then okay, why don't you go ahead and find a chair? So I treat in a big room in recliner chairs, which are actually pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And we are huge antique shoppers. So we went we tested out a lot of these fun recliner chairs. And, patients are like, oh, somebody's sitting in my chair. I'm like, you got to find a new one. So, but people do love their chairs. And I'm helping them recline them. I'm having just a dialogue. How was your weekend? What do you want to work on today? But over time, because it is affordable, I am getting more of a connection each time with the patient. So this isn't often patients do ask, how many treatments can this take? And, especially with pain, I'm saying, let's do a quick follow-up just to see how today's treatment helped, right? Quick follow-ups are kind of hard in a system where you're only scheduling a patient every hour. So if I can get a schedule where the books are open every 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, that quick follow-up is something within 3 to 4 days. And with a sliding scale, I work in a sliding scale of 25 to 50. This is more of an opportunity to be like, okay, well, I have my $10 new patient fee. I'm going to spend at least $35 today. And then the next time I see you, I'm going to spend, 30 or 25. And the concept of a sliding scale is that lower end is to keep the clinic sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
The higher end is to promote more sustainability.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
And then there are different ways of doing these intakes. We have a super long new patient intake that I can get most of my information from. I am talking to them about different stuff. It is an intake. We do talk. And then when I see them on their follow-ups, again, it's that conversation when they first walk in the door. And it is feng shui, right? So this is the treatment starts right when you walk in the door. And then it follows into sitting into the chair, helping you recline it. And then I feel the pulse. And that's not anything that's not standard in community acupuncture, but I just love the pulse so much. I love pulse taking. Talk about pulse taking. Do you do that?
Yeah, I do pulse taking. I like to do it in the beginning, middle, and end.
Oh, that's lovely.
Right.
That's
so,
lovely.
Jer, when a person comes in, you feel their pulse, and what you're feeling for is the quality, right? Like if it's hard, if it's kind of soft, the rate, if it's fast, if it's slow, if it's deep, and all these things signifies different areas of the body that are maybe having a little bit more of a trouble with or good. And so you take it in the beginning, and then for me in the middle, so I can see if it changes. And at the end, ideally it's more even, right? Like it feels evener. Is that even a word? More even? Evener? But yeah, so I mean, and some people, you can tell when someone's pregnant by their pulse.
It's true. Yeah.
Before they even take a test.
Whoa.
But yeah, so I do it I do it. But I'm also seeing people in a lot of, privately, not more people at once. But
yeah, I just morphed it into this. It helps me power in essentially with the patient.
Yeah. I also think the way that when you touch someone's wrist like that, I think it kind of brings them into the space, because your pulse is along your thumb here. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Jer?
No, I'm just enjoying hearing about the practice and like how you usually go about it. And so in terms of like the virtual work that you're doing, how does that usually go about? Are you doing virtual or
no? She meant hybrid, like she's seeing people in community and she's also seeing people one-on-one.
I see. I'm sorry. When you said hybrid, I was like,
did you do any virtual herb stuff during the pandemic?
No. What we would do was that was crazy. Yeah. What we would do is we would sell herbs and we would just put them out on our front door.
Oh, so cool. So do you guys have an apothecary at the clinic or do you go somewhere?
I do. So yeah. So so I'm gonna rewind. So I graduated acupuncture school. I took a nanny job. And
you did? I didn't know that.
Now I have children, so I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And I also pulled herbs at a local distillery, pharmacy, herbal pharmacy, which it's a really good one in Austin called Turtle Dragon Health Services. Turtle Dragon Health Services. And they worked all with raw herbs. And so every patient was walking home with 6 bags of raw herbs.
So wild.
I know, like he had them trained. It was amazing. And I was the one that was bagging those herbs. And I was also working with granules. So that is when you take the raw herb and you just grind it up into more of a manufactured style powder. And then they also sold tinctures. Tinctures are just so messy to make. I don't do that anymore. Basically, I am working in treating a patient every 15 minutes kind of format. And I just realized that raw herbs are something that I can easily whip out. I can give them 2 bags and I could say, come back. And raw herbs across the board, all over the world are inexpensive. So,
Right.
1 bag, which is 2 days worth, is probably $4 to $8.
So what's a typical herb that you would give?
Astragalus, that's called Huang Qi, and that is a tonifier. It's an adaptogen. What are adaptogens? We're looking at holy basil, ashwagandha. That's like ashwagandha is super popular. Ginseng. I think astragalus is like the beautiful middle child in all of that. It just tonifies your middle jiao, which is your gastrointestinal tract. It just helps with so much of boosting your immune system. And I think it's something that everyone could really benefit from.
And Margaret, as a question, when you do your raw herbs, how do people prepare those?
Great question.
Thank you.
You want to get a stainless steel pot. And they actually sell beautiful, cool pots as well. Like you can just go to Chinatown and get like a nice pot to cook herbs. But you would just get a stainless steel pot and you would boil 6 cups of water. And then this bag of at least, we don't work in single dosages, single herbs, but you can, but it's more of a formula. Like acupuncture, for example, I wouldn't just do 1 needle and walk away. It's a network of a system, back to how this is all explored. And herbs are so complex. It's not like a pharmaceutical drug where you're just taking that specific part of that herb and then or of that plant, and then you're using it for an anti-inflammatory, an NSAID,
Right.
something.
Right.
This is a complex system because our bodies are complex. And
I love that. I'm sorry just to interject, but I love that because it just made me think, like, if you're hitting just one specific thing, you're totally disregarding the fact that like that one thing is then going to affect the rest of the system. So like, how is that going to affect the system? You think of like all the side effects from these modern medicines, right? Like it's totally addressing one thing, but is it not knocking out of balance like all these other things? Whereas
one of the main principles of acupuncture and herbal medicine is you can treat the symptom, but you have to know the root. So if you think of a tree and the roots and the branches, if you're just talking about that one branch, you're not getting down to like what's going on in the roots of everything. So just adding to what you're saying about all of this.
I would take pain relievers as an example. You take them, then you get constipated. And then
right.
That's like a huge no-no in Chinese medicine.
You gotta poop.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's gonna help. It's gonna help you. But I am giving a bag of herbs that is pretty much 6 to 10 herbs. It's a formula. We call it a formula, and it's usually designed on a traditional formula. basically, I feel like everyone's coming in with digestive issues on some kind of level, especially if they are in pain. I do work in a community clinic, so I am seeing pain a lot more, pain and stress. And so I feel like these two combos of relieving your pain, but also making sure that stress is lowered as well, sends me always back to the middle jiao. So back to that astragalus. And then, of course, orange peel, which is chen pi, and ban sha, which is like a rhizome of sorts. And that is tonifying your middle jiao. So that's like the root, I would suggest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm exploring how can we break up the stress that's burdening you here, here, or here. And there are single herbs for that too. So it's a formula that we are, again, root and then the branches.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to cook them for you're going to get that water on boil, throw those bags of herbs in, and then simmer for a good roughly 40 minutes. If we are dealing with more exterior stuff, this is going to be shorter because we need to be able to release the exterior. So so peppermint, for example, boha, this is a really good herb for stress relief, right? So you're just going to help, but it's also a good digestive herb. At the same time, if you are coming in with a wind, heat attack, seasonal allergies, it's going to help release the exterior. You want to extract that boha out before it gets into that liver and digestive property of it.
I see. So you're just trying to get like the beginnings of it. If you drink or you steep it for too long, it's going to hit like too deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
That would be more of the complex systems of it, but you're decocting it for about 40 minutes generally, and then you're taking it out. You're drinking that. You can drink that all in one whole. They're not going to taste good. Shu di Romania is it's so yucky. But here's the thing.
That's how you know it's working, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Here's the thing. If you need it, you're not going to think it's going to taste bad.
Do you,
Mm-hmm.
I personally have a lot of trouble with people taking herbs, but do you not in the clinic?
I think because I see them with a quick follow-up. Yeah, I get more.
Do you do most of the stuff is raw? No, like granules or anything?
I don't do granules. Actually, we just started, back to my astragalus. We just started selling astragalus on a granule, and Bai Shao, Gan Sao, which is Gan Sao Bai Shao Tong. I think I'm getting that wrong, but that is for muscle relief, muscle spasms. And that's a really good one to just kind of help regulate your muscles. A lot of the times when I'm feeling these pulses, I'm like, I think your muscles are just fatigued. Like, I think there's no uptake. There's no cleansing there's no getting the juices. Yeah. So I do like that formula a lot, and we use that in powder. But we do patenants, which are just tablets. We never do anything that's coated. So and those are cheap as well. That's like 200 pills are like $12.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you to take this regular. I mean, and it's a lot. It's a high dosage. So when patients ask what's the suggested herbal dose, I'm telling them 5 pills 3 times a day, and they're like, "What?" And I'm saying this isn't an extraction of like a certain particle in one ant. This is a complex system. And and botanicals are just so good for you in general. I think that is something that we're missing in our nutritional life, in our gut system, is adding more medicinals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It could really benefit.
Yeah. Love that. Great explanation. You did great. That was amazing.
I mean, they're not going to taste good. Lastly, I was going to say you can mix it with green tea. Green tea is a nice envoy. It just kind of gets things promoting for you, and green tea just balances a lot of that out. And then you can mix honey as well. But no white sugar in that, please.
Don't sweeten it like that.
We also want you to drink it warm. We are really sensitive to people drinking cold drinks.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think scientifically it's been proven, like, if you drink like even water cold, it like slows your metabolism versus like warmer
The spleen
water.
and stomach don't like it.
Yeah. What I
don't
like to
cold
say
stuff.
is like your gut is like a tropical system. It's just growing all the time. It's just luscious and it's growing. You're going to put like a cold smoothie in that and it's going to turn into a tundra. What does the tundra look like?
Not great.
Mm-hmm.
Not great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love those tips. I think that's great. I think, all of that. It's so important. Maybe I should start doing raw herbs again. Interesting.
I mean, adaptogens are somewhere where you could start. I mean, if you don't want to walk away with like a big bag, like 6 bags of herbs, which is just it's amazing that people do it. But, if you don't want to walk away with like an herbal formula, I would say to just start with like growing some holy basil.
Yeah.
That's a great blood sugar modulator. It just, it goes through the liver and the kidney system. It's really good for hormones. Any adaptogen is actually a really good endocrine system. I think in our 30s and 40s, our endocrine systems just flat. They dry up.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so funny that adaptogens are so like hip and cool now.
Yeah. I think it is funny too.
I mean, it's great. People should be taking them.
Yeah. Ginseng is, again, great for the middle jowl, great for energy. It's not a stimulant. It's not, you think ginseng, you're like, but it's not a stimulant. It's just more, it's more of a tonifier. It gives you it meets you where you're at. So if your body runs on a level that you think needs to be better, like that you're like, this isn't who I am, take some ginseng. And then you're like, yeah, I'm back to waking up rested in the mornings. I don't have that 4:00 drop. If we're dealing with chakras,
yes, love
salvia, Dan Shen, which is also really good for any reproductive. It's more in the reproductive category, but it's also a really good single herb that can just help with stress and anxiety and depression. Specifically, I think it has anxiety, depression as like one of its main testers. And but if we were to deal with like opening up chakras, because it's such a great circulatory herb, it just helps move chi and blood. That would be a really good single herb to just use. Where do you get Dan Shen? Gosh, I mean, you can get it anywhere on the interwebs. I mean,
yeah.
I know any Chinatown you can find it too.
Yeah. It's out there. Adaptogens are out there. Let's see. Oh, goji berries.
Everybody loves goji berries.
Oh, great for your digestive. Great for your eyesight. Liver and kidney yin deficiencies. What does that look like? That looks like brittle hair, brittle nails. Your complexion is like, it's just really good for your skin. Lower back, this is like, as we get older, lower back weakness. And then of course, any kind of reproductive stuff. Get on some goji berries.
Get those goji berries, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are all amazing tips. I feel like our listeners, if you're not taking notes, you should be, or rewatch it again. And don't forget to smash and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Margaret, do you have others you want to add there?
Husha Wu is a really good one. That's the one that helps your hair
not turn gray.
I was going to say thicker. Yeah. If you want, like, if I got the receding hairline thing happening, but that's because I've had 2 kids. So you lose hair. But yeah, Husha Wu is another single herb. But if I was to promote the formulas back again and the complexities of your body. For Gentleman Decoction is such a really good herbal formula, and that's Lu Jinsatong, which is just promoting that middle jiao function. If we were to think about any kind of long viral infection, anything that we've just gone over, COVID, RSV, etc., flu, and you are still experiencing some type of where your body just can't pivot out of it, and we call that a Shaoyang syndrome, you would want to find an herbal formula called Shao Chai Hu Tong. And that has ginseng in it. That has chai hu, which is really good for your liver qi stagnation. So your body just can't move out of the problem, and we need to be able to pivot out of it. And that's a really good harmonizer. So Shao Chai Hu Tong is something that I use on a regular basis here at the clinic. Gan Mai Dao Cao Tong is really good for any kind of like heartbreak. I see a lot of that.
Oh.
Yeah, we're coming up to Valentine's Day, so you're just feeling a little off.
Take
Gan Mai
that.
Dao Cao Tong. Mm-hmm.
Take that.
I will definitely be emailing you and asking for the spellings of all these so that we can get links for our listeners. But amazing. These, I think, are really helpful tips for people. For sure.
I think like in Whole Foods, they sell.
They definitely sell. They also sell Hushu Wu, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, nice. Xiao Yao Sun is really good for stress relief, and this is stress relief combated with, again, your middle jiao is messed up as a result of your stress. So we're loose bowels or constipation, gas, bloating, acid reflux. How so-and-so, how's your stress? Oh, okay. Well, these are the problems. We need to be able to tonify and release. If we're dealing with our immune system because it's winter right now, you want to do Yuping Fang San, and that's a really, really good herbal formula. And it's only 3 herbs. And guess what? Guess what's in it? Astragalus. Yeah.
What I think is so great about herbal medicine too is that I often equate it to like what we're doing with acupuncture in the treatment. And then this is the needles and these points working afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a way to self. Yeah. So
I was going to say the same thing. This is your take home acupuncture. There is an herb in there that I will smell and I'm like, that's spleen 3. And I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, wizard. Okay.
And it's Baijiu. So, yeah. And I don't know why I think that, but.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, great tips. You should start doing herbal consults on the phone, babe.
Oh, yeah. I have to mail those off, though. And I don't like the post office.
No?
No.
You don't like the post office?
Who does? Oh, wait, you're actually being facetious.
No.
Yeah, this could be the virtual business I was talking about earlier, I think.
Babe, here we are. Talk to your New Yorkers. And I'm like, listen, make this a business. What a little monster. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, not just about herbs, but just generally?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Back to the acupuncture. I don't necessarily do protocols, but I do find that like there's some obvious things that I can easily do on patients. One of them being the NADA protocol, which is National Detox Points, and they were first. They first came to the United States via the Black Panthers and the Young Lords in the Lincoln Detox Center. So I can't help to reflect on that. But most importantly, one of the founders, Dr. Shakur, is in poor health at this time. They ran into some legal problems, and they had to be them and some other Black Panthers were put in federal prison, and he remained there for quite some time, and his health just deteriorated as a result. And he was recently released from federal prison, and he is now in end of life care in California. And I believe there are some, and I could send that to you, Jer, some GoFundMe's to help with his end of life comfortability.
That'd be great.
And so, you know, a part of what I do here, I have to recognize where this medicine comes from. And every time lately that I've been doing the NADA protocol on patients, and this could be, you know, sugar addiction, dry January, but also stress and anxiety. And this is what the Lincoln Detox Center did. They brought in people to just help cope with what was going on in the 1970s at that time, which would, you know, drugs, economic.
But Margaret, say where the NADA protocol is.
All right. So this is in your ear.
In your ear. Mm-hmm.
And there is 5 points. One goes right into here, right in it. And then the other one goes right here. And this is going to open up your parasympathetic system.
Right.
The other 3 are liver, kidney, and spleen.
Yeah.
Or heart.
I think it's liver, kidney, spleen.
Yeah.
And the endocrine point, right?
So if we were to look at microsystems, because acupuncture is so different everywhere else, we would say that this would be your head, and then this kind of goes into the spine. And then these are like the inner organs systems. So
Margaret's just going through the ear right now. So y'all should really watch this YouTube channel, because we're getting some excellent tips right now.
So this is like a lot of head stuff right here. This is like eyes, mouth, etc. This is all internal organs. And then oddly enough, this is like sympathetic, parasympathetic stuff. And remember what I said about like the apex of the ear is really good for any kind of high blood pressure or migraines right in here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I hope that was a good demonstration.
It was a good demonstration, and it's a really great protocol because it's 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be anywhere. You could just be sitting. You could, you know, it doesn't have to be this like very whatever big to do.
And I recently, someone defined it as the anti-capitalist points.
Sick.
And it was because when you receive these points, and I have felt this before, when you receive these points, you really kind of walk back into the universe, and you're like, I don't need anything. I have myself. I have my health. And it's just more of this balanced energy that you're like, I don't need to buy things to make me happy. I'm one. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
And then Miriam Lee. Miriam Lee is another one person I'd like to attribute a lot of my practice to. Back in, again, 1970s, which is where this all exploded in the United States and acupuncture. She was an immigrant. She started practicing on her neighborhood. And then I think Sacramento, San Francisco area, people were like, you can't do that. This isn't medicine. And they took her to court. And but by then there was like there was doctors practicing acupuncture, but they were like, you're not licensed. You don't know how, you don't know what you're doing, etc. This is unprotected, which I guess, this is the beginnings of how we can make this safe. And the neighborhood of her tribe came to this courtroom and expressed how much benefit they were getting from her treatments. And there were 10 points. And get this, we've already gone over some of them. Large intestine 4.
LI 10.
11. There's some stuff.
I use her stuff pretty much all the time.
Yeah. I am regularly tapping in with some.
I think most acupuncture. Well, I would say a lot of acupuncturists use that protocol. 10 points.
Immigrant. She was female. She didn't have any protection, and people came and stood up for her. I loved it.
She's cool. Cool lady.
She has a book out there. I think it's something journals of an acupuncturist, but I can give that to you too, and then it's show notes.
Okay. Right.
Amazing. Wow. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. Is there anything else, Margaret, you want to add?
No, I mean, because I have kids now, I think treating kids are pretty significant too, and it's not with necessarily needles.
Do you do like cupping and stuff, or like sliding cupping?
My 5-year-old loves cupping so much. She does not like needles. You could just do acupressure again, clockwise. Their gastrointestinal tracts they're growing. So you want to be able to, tonify that on a regular basis. Their bodies are growing. There's so much yang energy. You want to be able to move it. There's so much therapeutics when it comes to starting a kid off right. And then, of course, I think if you were to Google what are the most important things that an acupuncturist can treat for a child, oddly enough, bedwetting comes up a lot, and I have seen that before too, and that's also like a kidney yin deficiency, and we need to be able to recognize that and tonify that. And I don't think any other Western format has a really good understanding of bedwetting, and I think we do. So
love.
But if Esther was to look at this 10 years from now, I'm not saying she bedwets.
Yeah, she doesn't. We're not even talking about her. This was amazing.
Cool. It was great talking to you guys.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you came on. You explained everything. Share me, the world thanks you.
Thanks.
And,
let's do this again. I don't know what any of my expertises are, but let's do it again.
I'm sure we can think of some stuff.
Absolutely.
Wait, how can people come? What's the clinic where it's in Kentucky? Yeah.
So I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. On 909 Barrett Avenue.
Great.
We like that people can schedule online. That's pretty, we always accept walk-ins, but if you're a new patient walk-in, that's kind of hard. But this is something where we want to establish that this is a neighborhood setting, and we are your neighborhood people to talk to. I'm going to talk to you about your health any given time.
Great.
And Louisville is actually it's pretty quaint. It's pretty small, so it's easy to get around. I live about 7 minutes from my clinic, so it's a good walking place. It's a place that you can visit. When I came to visit, I noticed how there was a lot of alleys, and I just thought that was really good feng shui. Like, I just thought that was a good energy,
Like that. My mom's family is from there.
Did I know that?
I don't know.
I don't think
now
I knew
you
that.
do, though. Now you do.
Huh.
I'm a little Kentucky gal.
You are.
I know. It's so sweet. Well, thank you. And everybody in Louisville, go check out the clinic. Talk to these two powerful moonbeam healers. And
and then there's two of us.
Oh yeah, right. There's Margaret's husband, Mike.
There's this, and then there's another person, and we sleep together. So we basically have these conversations every night. I asked him what his favorite herb was, and he said, my mendong. And I'm like, are you serious, Mike? It's a lung yin deficiency herb, but I think he just said it because it's dong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Classy. Okay, well, that's it, right? I feel like we like did a big swing.
Yeah.
It was a hit.
Yeah.
This was great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank you guys. And the show is great. I have listened to a couple of episodes, but then preparing for these episodes, I listened to a bunch of them. And I love the meditation. I've actually been telling patients about this meditation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the meditation was fantastic. I actually started using the notion of your monkey. You have a monkey that's swinging from tree to tree, worries from worries. It's such a good, visual.
Mind.
And it's just like, you got to calm that monkey down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Okay,
well, we'll do it again soon.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Come visit.
I will. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.